Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You know something? You guys are really, really good at sending emails, and I appreciate that. Donna at donnasedge.com. And you're giving me ideas on segments you would love for me to talk about and a little bit of research. So I've done that, and this one was sent by KK. And so she wanted to know some information about the financial impact of homeschooling your child. She's thinking about doing that. KK also said that she actually homeschooled her kids during COVID, and it was okay, but she's finding that the kids actually seem to learn more, probably because it was just a setting with her and the two kids. So let's talk about that, the financial impact of homeschooling your child. And you can go to this website, verywellfamily.com. That's verywellfamily.com. Let me start out by saying this. My sister-in-law, Phil's sister, actually homeschooled their kids. And I had some questions about that at first. My first question was, are these kids going to be social? Man, they are. They're like all over the place. And I have to tell you, this smartest kids I have ever known. And it's the one-on-one that she had with them. And I think there was some flexibility there as well. And there are also other groups of homeschool kids, and they can all meet together. So it's not like they're isolated or anything like that. That's the myth right there. But there are other groups, homeschooling groups can meet together. So let's talk about this. So, until recently, the decision to homeschooling really just developed for the needs of the parents and their children. But during COVID-19, there was a big bust out of people who were homeschooling their kids. And there are different reasons, and there are a lot of questions people have about homeschooling. So let's go ahead and get to those. So some of the common questions from parents, and these are pretty typical, is do you get tax breaks for homeschooling? Another one is, how do you decide if you should stop working to dedicate time to this? How much should we budget is another question. Another question would be, what happens when parents work while homeschooling? And then the last one is, what type of financial impact is expected? Now, the author of this article says, although the answers to these questions depend on very personal situations, we found that some general guidelines and average cost, and we found those answers just to get you started. So let's talk about the basic homeschooling cost. How do you get started? To get started with homeschooling, you'll need supplies, including a computer and other devices, the curriculum, textbooks for each child. You'll need desks, chairs, and lamps, field trips, supplemental activities. You've got to have internet access, school supplies such as pens, pencils, and paper, and that kind of thing. Now, they say that the total cost of these homeschooling core items will run you about $700 to $1,800 per child to get you started. Not too bad, not too shabby. And these are items that you'll be able to keep also, and maybe resell to somebody else later on. Now, homeschool curriculum cost. Choosing a curriculum will likely be the most time-consuming part of the entire process. It will also be one of the most expensive unless you're hiring a private tutor or a teacher. According to the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, parents spend on average anywhere between $50 to $500 per student on curriculum. Now, the cheapest approach, they say, is $50 to $100 per student, moderate $300 to $500, and the most expensive is over $500. But I'm just going to tell you, whatever you can teach your kids, and it's a one-on-one situation, they're going to remember it. Now, Denise Thomas, who homeschooled her two children from kindergarten through grade 12, says that although the curriculum vendors offer guides and teacher manuals to all the bells and whistles, she found most of it unnecessary. She said, I don't think I purchased a teacher's manual other than an answer key until my children were at the high school level. She's very frugal, she said. Thomas says a family can expect to spend $500 to $1,000 per year. This is for the family on curriculum, and materials. Now, the high end, to purchase everything a vendor offers, can easily cost $300 to $500 per grade per subject. But going that route can top $5,000 per student every year. That's a hefty price to pay for homeschooling. That's if you go with everything, all the bells and whistles and everything that they have out there. Now let's talk a little bit about books, school supplies, and other expenses. Although you may not be buying boxes of tissues as part of your back-to-school shopping, you will have items you'll need to purchase for your children's classroom. According to a 2020 Deloitte Back to School survey, families expected to spend on average the following for supplies: computers and hardware, about $395. Electronic gadgets and subscriptions were about $316. School supplies could be pencils, pens, paper, $102. Now, this cost is per child, and parents surveyed expected to have their child to do some or all of their schooling at home. Technology is a significant cost, especially when you're using online curriculum. A ballpark range for a computer tablet or Chromebook is not as bad as it used to be. It's $250 to $1,000. Now, if kids can share one device, great, but if not, be sure to account for that cost. And also the internet access. You may need to upgrade your service for faster connections. For several family members, they need the access to internet. You need that like all at the same time. Now, depending on the curriculum you purchase, you may need to buy additional textbooks. Many families also keep a well-stocked library at home with fiction and nonfiction books to supplement language arts and independent reading time. Now, to cut costs related to books and education subscriptions, consider using free options as much as possible. There are resources like Khan Academy, that's Khan Academy, and Varsity Tutors. They offer free programs. Now, you'll find the links to those free programs right there by, again, going to this website, verywellfamily.com. That's verywellfamily.com. And they also have a link here that I think is really interesting. It's Top Books for Gifted Children. Okay, you got to factor in the loss of income. Now, homeschooling, as opposed to remote learning with the local school district's assistance, often requires a parent to be the teacher. Now, if you have a two-parent household, this could be one parent stays home and assumes this role. For some families, this means a loss of income. Now, with that in mind, you'll need to forecast out 1 year without an income just to see if that's possible. If cutting one income is not possible, the parent who stays home may want to consider working part-time in the evening or maybe on the weekend. My sister-in-law didn't work at all, and they managed just fine. So if you have expertise in a particular area and you need income, you may want to consider forming a co-op. This is where parents share teaching classrooms of children. That sounds pretty good. So Thomas says that's reasonable to expect to pay a parent $350 or more per student for a year-long course. Don't count on receiving any money for homeschooling your child. Now, the federal government does not currently provide any tax credits for homeschooling. That was one of the big questions. Now, that said, there are a few states, like Indiana, that have tax breaks designed for homeschooling. So you can check your state's tax guidelines for more information. Let's go ahead and click on that link. Indiana is one of those schools. So let's just see if I can find a list of the states that will give you a price break. Okay, states that require no notice to the school district are Alaska, Connecticut, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, New Jersey, Oklahoma, and Texas. States with high regulation are Massachusetts, you would think New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Now, states who have low regulation would be California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, Arkansas, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Delaware. Now, states with moderate regulation, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Louisiana, Florida, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Maine, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. And then, of course, they have a list of the best, and in their opinion, the best states that are pretty much friendly for homeschooling. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to where we were. And we were talking about the common questions, and I need to make sure I keep up with my time right here. Okay, we were at the basic school cost, and then the curriculum as well. Now let's just talk for a minute about books, school supplies, and other expenses. Although you may not be buying boxes of tissues, we talked about that. Computers and hardware is going to be about $395. Now they're saying that this is pretty much per student. Okay, so we did cover that just a bit. Loss of income, and so they were talking about a few states like Indiana that have tax breaks. But go to the website verywellfamily.com. Let's talk about forming a homeschool pod. So Christina Kay is a mother of two and creator of Come On Mama. That's a blog about motherhood and everything that comes with it. The decision to homeschool is something they never considered before, but in light of the COVID-19 crisis, they chose to keep their two young children at home. Kay says that since she has two young children who are in no way built to sit in front of a computer for virtual learning, they opted to team up with two other families to form a homeschool pod, so their children could have play and socialization at a safe setting. Now, to do this, the three families hired two teachers to spearhead their pod. And while the cost is significant, they felt it was worth it. The financial impact for us was not small because we're paying a premium rate for our private teachers, says Kay. To help with budgeting, they laid out an hourly rate per child per teacher. So they will pay for they paid for the first and the 15th of the month. So establishing a set pay scale and schedule helped formalize things, and has certainly helped with the budgeting, she said. The homeschool curriculum, Kay's pod, cost roughly $1,000, and that included all complementary materials, with the exception of basic school supplies such as markers, composition notebooks, and other necessities. Now, according to several online sources, an average parents are willing to pay weekly tuition of up to $250 per kid. Now, this can vary, with some parents paying upwards of $1,000 per week for one-on-one daily tutoring. So I thought that was pretty interesting right there. So if you're new to homeschooling and you're looking for ways to save money, expect to spend several hours up front just researching and finding the best practices that you can possibly come up with, and learning from other parents, getting started. And it's going to be pretty rough, okay? You're going to have a lot of overload with information, but there's an abundance of resources available and experienced families who are willing to help. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk about what you need to homeschool your child. We'll be right back in just a minute. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park, and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand-new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IEC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, Channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So right now we're talking about the reasons people may want to homeschool. And so here are several, and I get it. I do. So this is number one, a flexible learning schedule because it's a frequent family travel. I always thought it would be kind of cool. So you're homeschooling, and even going on a trip could be educational. You can use that. You get a controlled environment for a medically vulnerable or maybe immunosuppressed child or family member. A less traditional learning environment for a child who is gifted or who has learning disabilities. You can add religious elements to the child's education. That'd be the number one reason I'd do it. To offer a less traditional and more child-centered approach to education. I like that one too. I like all of these. I think they're all awesome. To opt out of current educational philosophies or practices. There's some things they're teaching in school I'm not into. Now, some families choose homeschooling due to specific circumstances, such as the coronavirus pandemic, and they decided to keep up with it even after the school reopened. Other families decided to homeschool their children in their early years, but enroll their children in school during their middle school or high school years. Now, there's no one right way to do it. We're going to talk about that. It's all about what works for your family, which is part of the beauty of homeschooling. So homeschooling done successfully can be a very child-centered, family-centered approach. So let's talk about the practicalities of homeschooling. So once you have chosen to educate your child at home, you will want to consider the practicalities. What do you need to make the switch from traditional school to homeschooling? What other preparations should you make to ensure a positive experience for you and your child? So let's talk about homeschooling laws. Okay, first of all, homeschooling is legal in all 50 states. But the regulations surrounding homeschools vary from state to state. So in most cases, you will need to contact your state's school district to withdraw your child from public school enrollment. You have got to do that formally. So once you're officially homeschooling, each state has a different requirement. So you've got to know what those requirements are. Now, if you choose a distance learning option provided through your school district, you will not be separating your child's school district at all, and there is nothing further you need to do. Now, if you choose a virtual school that is not tied to your school's district, you should contact your school district for instructions. Make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, okay? That's really, really important. Now, many virtual schools are similar to private schools, and their classes count towards attendance and learning requirements. If you're enrolling in a la carte distance learning class, you should contact your school district to see how these courses will count towards your child's educational requirements, especially if a child's in high school and they need credits to graduate. See, I remember somebody I went to school with had been sick a lot in school. I think they were in like the 10th grade when they were sick a lot. And it's just some issues are out of school almost half the year. And so in order to graduate, when we all graduated from high school, they were missing a couple of credits. So the parents had to hire a tutor to get them all caught up so they could graduate with the rest of us. So, you've got to make sure you stay on top of these things. Let's see. Parent qualifications. Okay, so we need to know these guys. There are some people who say they want to homeschool their kids, and I kind of like, is that wise? So I'm glad to hear this. So there are parent qualifications. One of the top concerns parents about homeschooling or learning at home is that they feel underqualified to teach their children. First of all, especially for elementary school, because many parents know plenty and they can easily consult a few sources to brush up on certain subject matters. Most of us are rusty on 4th grade math, for example. Now, most people who homeschool invest in curricula that fills in gaps in their knowledge. So it's not as though you will not be homeschooling your child with no guide. In addition, homeschoolers of older kids often enroll their children in virtual classes and even have their children attend in-person or online community colleges geared towards homeschooling kids. My nephews and niece had no problem getting into college because Paula was just like right on top of it. Now again, since there is so much variation here, it's best to contact your school district or state legislature to learn about the requirements. The majority of states in America do not have any educational requirements for parents who wish to educate their children at home. But I would still check anyway, just to make double sure. The different approaches to learning at home. There are many approaches that parents take to homeschooling. A more traditional homeschool approach will involve purchasing a homeschool curriculum and setting up your home similar to a classroom with a desk for your child, textbooks, and school supplies. Families who choose a less traditional approach, for example, families who unschool their children, may not follow a particular curriculum. Instead, they'll follow their child's interest and supplement with educational materials as needed. Most homeschool families do not remain at home either. Instead, they may form homeschool co-ops with other homeschooling families for additional coursework and socialization. It's important now that your kids are around other kids. So I thought this was pretty interesting because they can take trips to museums, botanical gardens, or anywhere in the community that offers a hands-on educational experience. I think that's awesome. If you're doing an online school program with your child, you may be able to connect with other families who are doing the same thing to participate in play dates, family gatherings, or other educational opportunities. Now, the wonderful thing about learning at home is that there are so many ways to do it. There are many opportunities for your child to connect with others. Now, what do you need for homeschool? You need the curriculum. We talked about that. So if you are homeschooling on your own, you will likely want to choose a curriculum to follow. Unfortunately, there are so many out there that it can get a little bit confusing. So consider what kind of educational approach you're looking for in a curriculum. Do you want an approach that's more closely matches a traditional school curriculum, one that best matches or that you can choose that is either to talk to, best way is just talk to other homeschooling families just to see what they liked best. Talk with somebody who's been through the process and find out what they liked best about what they did and why. So if you enroll your child in a school district's virtual learning program or in a standalone virtual school, you may not have the curriculum yourself. However, you may want to supplement your child's learning with other homeschool activities or online programs. And we talked about the basic supplies earlier, but I'm going to add a few. So we talked about paper, blank notebooks with folders, writing supplies including pencils, erasers, and pencil sharpeners, glue and scissors, crayons and markers, a calendar for planning, a dry erase board, and markers for teaching. You also storage containers for keeping track of materials. You've got to be organized, I would imagine. Any other educational materials your child might enjoy or find helpful, including flashcards and maybe math manipulatives. Now, some families choose to decorate their child's home learning space, but this is optional, of course. Homeschooling space. We still have a lot. I think what I'm going to do is have a part 2 of this because there's lots of information here. So homeschooling space is really important. So if your child will be distance learning or will be using the internet-based learning model, it's best if you can designate a space in your home for this learning to take place, whether it's your child's desk or at the kitchen table. Just make sure it's designated. Let's go ahead and call it an end of this show, but we're going to go ahead and have a part 2 because I've got a lot of information to share here for you about homeschooling. My name is Donna. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IAC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for the emails. If you have a subject you would like for me to cover, do a little research, I'll be glad to do that. Donna@donnasedge.com. That's Donna@donnasedge.com. Thank you for watching.